Don't worry if we screw up. So Alicia Curry, did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Fantastic. So I love having experienced moms on our show and within our community because a lot of times they say, "Oh well, my kids are older," but it's the wisdom from you guys that keeps me going and also gives me ideas on how I can just transform my business in our modern culture. So, Alicia, I'd
Yeah.
like for you to share your experience with us and or what happened to make you decide entrepreneurship was the vehicle you wanted to use to create freedom for your family.
Well, Glow, that's a very interesting question because I think I was just born entrepreneurial. I say that from not because, a lot of people say they were born entrepreneurial because at 5 years old they started making money and all this kind of stuff. Although I do remember, taking a bet at 5 years old, from an adult and winning that bet. I was entrepreneurial in that sense. I'm an entrepreneurial in the sense that I don't like to be told what to do. And
Mm,
I don't have good track record having a boss, having
mm,
someone tell me what to do. So my option was to start my own business and let me be the boss so that I don't have someone telling me what to do. So that was evident from very early in my first job. It was really bad. So anyway, I realized that was my journey. But as far as when had children and becoming a mom, I was very entrepreneurial. I was in network marketing before I had children and building those businesses because I felt like it gave me flexibility as a network marketer. And then when I got pregnant, I got really, really sick throughout my pregnancies and I couldn't continue doing anything. I was just pretty much bed, bathroom, kitchen. That was my life for
mm.
9 months, every pregnancy. And I have 3 children. Every pregnancy, that was my life. I was contained to those 3 rooms of the house because I was just so sick all the time. And because of those experiences too, I I was blessed and fortunate enough that my husband, I mean, we weren't making a ton of money, but at least it was enough that I could stay home and make the decision to be a full-time mom. And that was my choice because I wanted to be the influence of my children as they were growing up. I knew that that 1 to 6 year old before they started school, very formative, very impressionable. And because of the work I do now, especially around brain science and mindset, and I learned afterwards how vital that decision was in framing and molding my own children. And that was the choice that I was fortunate and blessed enough to make. But in the meantime, I was doing things on the side, right? Because I just always had that I need to do something um, type of that's the type of person that I am. So I hope that kind of helped answer the question.
Well, it's interesting because I remember I worked in the hospital for many years, and I remember my last day at work when I knew I was never going back to the medical field, and it was in my early 20s, well,
Mm,
mid 20s. And I remember when I punched out because you mentioned independence,
yes.
and I remember that feeling of, ah, nobody can tell me what
What
to
to
do.
do?
I
I
can
was,
wake up when
yeah.
I feel like I can do whatever I want, take however long vacations. But you know what I found out being an entrepreneur is that I had to become even more disciplined
Disciplined. Oh,
than I
yes.
was being an employee
Yes.
than I have to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You think it's this free life that you can wake up when you want, do what you want. No, it
Mhm.
actually becomes even more structured and more because it's on you. It's all on you. You're not at the end of the month drawing a paycheck. If you don't do the activity, you're not getting no money. And that feeling that you shared, so I was a flight attendant. That was the longest job, actual job that I had in my life. I was between the ages of 18 and 22.
Mm.
And I remember when I did put in my resignation, I had 28 days. I had a month left once I formally resigned. And everything I did, like if the purser, like I'm on the flight and the purser said something and I was like, what are they going to do? Fire me? And we'd have a big laugh because I'm like, I'm here for the next 28 days. So what are they going to do? Okay, so I didn't do that. What are they going to do? Fire me? I mean, that was my attitude, my immature attitude back then. But I said it in jest. I didn't
Mhm.
do malicious things, or I wasn't doing stuff. It's just like me. Some persons were so nitpicky of every little thing, and I was like, what are you going to do? You're going to fire me? I'm already going. I'm already gone.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Don't rush me out.
oh, yeah.
Because even in being an entrepreneur, aside from becoming extremely disciplined, you have to learn to prioritize. And part of prioritizing, I found, was setting boundaries and choosing what's important. Because aside from just developing your business, you have to develop yourself. And then, if you're going to have a successful business, that I later learned the hard way, very costly way, which was, I thought, hey, I'll have my little brick and mortar business, I'll get my clients, and then I'm good. Until someone said to me, it's not really a business, and you can't really sell it if everybody is loving you and relying on you. Because
Dependent on you. Hmm.
when you sell it, it's going to be those people want you, and this new person now, it's like they're starting all over again. So all you have really is some expensive equipment. So that was a reality check again. So aside from building yourself, then building the business, you have to build people, and you have to pay them sometimes before you even pay yourself. So this entrepreneurial journey, I think a lot of people, they have a
Fantasies about what it
misconception
actually
of what
is.
it really is. Yes.
And you have to make a decision of what type of business do you want? Do you want a business to scale and sell? Because
Mhm.
that depends on how you set it up. Or do you want a business that is entirely dependent on you, because you are the brainchild, or you're the uh, you are the business, and you're okay with when you no longer want to do that business and you choose to do something else, that the business just, that's it, and you just move on to the next thing. So
Mhm.
that those are decisions that you make at the beginning. A lot of us start things without that foresight. I know I started a couple businesses without that kind of foresight, and then when I was ready to transition, I didn't realize, to your point, that I could have built it in a way that it could have been saleable. You can build, it doesn't have to be a brick and mortar business. It can be a book of business. Like you said, you have your clients. You can build a book of business where that's saleable. So you find someone else who does what you're doing, and they'll buy your book of business from you. They'll buy your clients from you. So they're not necessarily buying the business name and all the trappings and all that, but they're
Mhm.
buying your client base, and they can take that, and that's something that, um, to your point about, not having your brick and mortar, and then it all depends on you. If you have a book of business in an area that other people can service,
Mhm.
like say you have your financial services. Well, your financial services might align with someone else's financial services, and they'll just buy your business from you, and they'll
Right.
rename it their thing, but they're getting all your clients. So
Mhm.
there are different ways that you can position your business, but you have to think about that.
And on that note too, I mean, we talk a lot about positioning our business and being an entrepreneur. Let's dive a little bit more into your expertise, which is confidence, because me and you both know that that ties directly into your ability to perform and function as a business owner.
Correct.
So I know for those of you out there just looking, you may not think it, but I'm going to spill the beans, Alicia. You won your first beauty pageant at 50.
Yes, at 50 years old, I entered my
So,
first beauty pageant, my first, they call it achievement pageant.
oh, okay.
Yeah, achievement
Well,
pageant. Yeah.
well, you've definitely earned the right to talk about confidence and be an expert in that field. And I know you have several books and tools and resources to help anyone listening in our community how to have that confidence to be able to take your business to the next level. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So I had very low confidence, even in my businesses. When I started, I realized that I would go out to networking events, and
Hmm.
when they had you stand up and introduce yourself, I would be sweating, like my palms would get sweaty, my heart was racing, like my mouth would get dry. I'm like, I don't want to stand up. I would go to these events and sit in a corner and not talk to anybody, and because I was afraid of judgment, I was afraid of people not thinking I was good enough. I had so many limiting beliefs that I didn't even recognize until I started looking at the way my behavior was. Like, when you have this opportunity, what are you doing? Are you shrinking or are you moving forward? And 90% of the time I was shrinking. So recognizing that I had confidence issues, I began to work on those things for myself. And now that's what I use to help other people. And one of the tools that I developed, which we're retooling right now, was those 7 secrets to audacious confidence. And what we're retooling it to be now this top peak method. Like, do you want to get to the top? Do you want to get to the peak of your industry, of your business, or even just of your life, of how you operate in your life? So we have these different tools that we use that it still revolves around these 7 secrets, but they're very practical, very doable, and it all comes with self-awareness. So learning about yourself, learning more about who you are, learning your skills, learning your talents, learning how your brain operates, how was it wired to function. And I dive into all those things with people. So like 2 of the secrets I kind of just shared with you is one of knowing yourself and loving yourself. If you don't truly know yourself, or if you're misappropriating your strengths, which we do that a lot because other people think that it's the wrong way to be. So we've just decided that we're going to suppress or bury that strength. And we don't see it as a strength. We see it as a weakness.
Hmm.
Um, you know, understanding how to properly appropriate those strengths, learning what they are, and then cataloging them. Because I have one of the secrets called your tags, your talents, your assets, your gifts, and your skills, knowing what those things are so that you can pull on any one of those in any situation because you understand those things about yourself even clearer. Um, Tasha Urich did a search, Dr. Tasha Urich, she did a lot of research into self-awareness. And she says, while 95% of people believe they're self-aware, which means they know about themselves, in actuality, 15% actually know about themselves. You think you
Wow.
know, but self-awareness isn't just of self, but it's how you interact with others, how others see you, how others are experiencing you. That's when you have full self-awareness. It's not just knowing of yourself and knowing things about yourself. And there's another psychological tool called the Johari window, and
Hmm.
it's you've heard, you should, do you know the Johari window? It's like 4 window panes, and then one is things that you know about yourself that others know about you. And that's probably where a lot of us live. But then there's another window pane of things that others know about you through observation that you don't know. And those are your blind spots. Then there's another window pane of things that you know about yourself that you wouldn't dare, like you wouldn't allow anyone else to know about you. Those are your personal secrets, right? Only I know these things. And then there's a 4th window pane that's yet to be discovered. It's things that you don't know about yourself that others don't know about you yet. So I like to live in that fourth window pane, always discovering something new about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in the other one where I have blind spots, to learn more get more self-awareness of what people know about me that I don't know about me. So those are some of the tools that we use, some of the things to help people really gain self-awareness. And when you start having that kind of self-awareness, man, your confidence starts to skyrocket, because now, and then when you align your paradigms and your mindset towards the thing that you really desire to do, that's when things start moving for you too. So even when you're a mom, you can do this for yourself. You can do this with your children to help them understand themselves as they grow up, so that they are bold and confident in how they approach life without feeling or having people think that they're arrogant or full of themselves. They just full of confidence, you know.
Wow, that's like taking the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the next level, because I know at the very top of that is the self-actualization,
Self-actualization. Hmm.
right? So then based on what you said is that after you accomplish that self-awareness, now it's like you gain the ability to perceive how
Yes.
others are doing and being around you. And wow, that must be pretty powerful, because I can certainly say I am not there yet. I got two toddlers, and man, I learned something new every day. And I always encourage folks, I can't remember his name, but it was a scientist, and he had a little talk on parenting, and he just said, guys, you got to remember, for you, it's a daily activity. For your toddler, it's a new experience.
Hmm.
And ever since he said that, I just, every time my kids did something and I felt my blood pressure rising, I said, wait a minute, this is new. And then I guess, turned it around or reframed it and started to observe how they were being, and like their facial expression.
Hmm.
Like if something spill, like look at, see how they react versus just first saying, "Oh my goodness, I just, you spill it," right? And I'm telling you, I like that
Help
made,
you see. Yeah.
yeah,
And that's building empathy too, because now you're able to see from their point of view
yeah,
how their life is being, you know, from 0 to 7,
hmm,
a child's brain can is mostly subconscious. So you're programming their subconscious,
hmm,
0 to even in utero to 7 years old. So how you react to certain things will also help teach them how to react. If you are someone who worries and complains, or just flies off the handle, you're teaching them how to be in this life. And
hmm,
they will that the way the brain operates. So you think that they're thinking through stuff, right? I told you like 10 times not to do that. And you think that their brain is capable of actually recalling that and thinking through that process. And it's
hmm,
not. They may seem like it because they can mimic things really quickly, but they're not actually processing
right,
and intellectually. There are those savant kids out there, but generally, the subconscious mind is being programmed, and the we run at probably 95% of our daily lives are subconscious, right? it
hmm,
it operates our body functions, the beating of our heart, the blood pumping, all of that is subconscious. And so if you look at it's um all this information is coming at them. They're looking at
hmm,
their environment. Everything is coming at them, and it's going directly into their subconscious mind. And then at the age of 7, they start actually connecting those dots.
wow,
From 7 to about 20 is when they spend time connecting dots. So they connect the dots. Ouch, if I touch that, ouch, if I touch that, ouch. Oh, okay, that's hot. So don't
hmm,
touch that. So they start connecting those dots. If as a parent, you're not aware and conscious that everything that you're doing is
Mm-hmm.
going into their subconscious and programming them. So if you're in front of them and you're always worrying about money and you're always talking about negative things, that's programming them to believe that. And whether you say it outright to them specifically, it's
Mm-hmm.
being programmed into them. So they become an adult now and they're going through life and they're like, why is this thing keep happening to me? It's because it's been programmed to them to operate that way by
Mm-hmm.
just observation. So we have to be really careful. And that's what I said at the beginning of this, when I said, now I understand that taking
Mm-hmm.
that time
Mm-hmm.
as a mom and really trying to pour into them,
Right.
um, values and the things that I want them to learn and grow and develop, and not have a lot of that outside stimulus as children impact them. That was so important for me. And then I learned about how the subconscious mind is programmed as children and all this stuff, because I remember at 3 years old coming back to my memory, and I'm like, oh, that's why I do this, because I learned that at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's running in the background, programming running in the background of my mind for all these years. And I didn't even recognize it until one day I stopped. Why do I do this? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, or why do I believe this about myself? Like
Mm.
when I say I believe that I'm not enough, it's because at 4 and 5 years old, when I asked my parents to do if I could do something because I was excited about it, I saw someone else do it. And I'll give you a specific example that came to my memory one day. I wanted to do gymnastics when I grew up in Australia, and when I started in school, I was a little like I would tumble everywhere. And the teacher said, "Ooh, you should go into gymnastics." And I loved watching the Olympics. We just completed the Olympics, and I went home all excited. And I said, Mom, I want to do gymnastics." And she looked at me at a 5-year-old and said, "Oh no, you quit everything."
Mm.
So in my little mind, that created a belief for me that I can't do certain things because I quit everything.
Oh.
And that became a self-fulfilling prophecy, as I would do things and then drop it. But then I learned the way my brain is wired to operate is that I see things and I don't have any fear in actually trying out something and then recognizing that, nope, that's not what I want. So I let that go to go try something else. I am a trial and error person. That's the way my brain is operated for success. It's trial and error. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. If I see that it's not going to happen, then it's not that I quit it. It's that I'm able to adapt and pivot very quickly. As a 5-year-old, I don't have the languaging. I didn't have the understanding until I was in my 40s. And I actually took some of the assessments that I work with my clients on. And I understood, well, that's just how your brain operates. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to be aware that that happens, so that if there is something that you really, really want to do, you need to stay focused on that and go through the entire process of it. And then if it doesn't work out, say, okay, that's not working out. Let's pivot, because we can pivot quickly. We know how to do that. So yeah, I know I talked along a lot of, I said a lot of stuff.
Listen, I'm taking it in because um, early on, once I did leave the workforce, I became obsessed with sales. And one of my mentors said, a lot of people don't realize you see the rocket launch and it goes into space, and they don't understand that it has to continuously course correct as it's going up. It never just goes and stays on path. And
Mhm.
I think part of being resilient as a business owner, especially as a mom trying to balance life and business, is our ability to make those comebacks and be okay as we decide to be intentional about our actions And I've seen a lot of people stay in situations, both business and personal, way too long when all the signs and flags are up. And it's like, wait a minute, especially when I mentor moms in business,
Hmm.
I'm saying to them, okay, you just said blah blah blah, and you told me this blah blah blah, and I'm able to draw a timeline, right?
Hmm.
'Cause in coaching, I document everything, and if the roadblock is, for example, a very common roadblock with a lot of my clients is they don't know how to ask for money. They don't
Hmm.
know how to make the sale. They want to be a professional speaker, but they keep taking free speaking engagements. I'm like, okay, we've worked on this, we've talked through this. At what point are you going to course correct? Because if you want a different outcome, you have to have a different input,
Hmm.
right? And with all of what you said, I'm just taking it in because that's why I love doing these interviews. And someone like yourself, we could talk for, for
Hours and hours. I
hours
know.
because,
Yeah.
being a confidence expert, that is something that will make or break you in business and life. And I know you just had your TEDx talk, you have a couple of books. So we're going to link all of that up to this chat here. So, folks watching and listening, even though this was intended to be a podcast, people like to watch.
Yeah.
So, we turn on the cameras and let it roll. But I'm so happy to have had you here on this session. We look forward to more conversations with you, and let us know how we can support you and keep us up to date with all of your activities you have going on in case someone would like to schedule a consultation.
Thank you, Glow. I appreciate it. Yes, for sure. And Alicia 360 is the fastest way, easiest way to connect to all the things.
Alicia 360.com.
30.com.
Okay, spell Alicia for the folks listening.
ALICIA.
The number three, the number six,
Six,
and
number
zero
zero.
dot com. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank
Awesome
you, Glow.
conversation.